pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We'd like to start by wishing our village clerk a very happy birthday this evening.
Oh, very kind.
And you can call the roll.
Trustee Spurling. Here. Trustee Lee.
Here.
Trustee Heinz.
Yay.
Trustee Youngerman.
Here.
Trustee Marisak.
Here.
And Trustee Bond.
Here.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Public participation. We have the 2-minute opportunity. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address the board this evening? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on. I'll read the consent agenda and then entertain a motion for approval. Item A, the minutes of the village board meeting of March 13th. Sorry. Accounts payable through March 23rd. Ordinance 1747, granting a special use for ATMI Precast, 1100 Southwest Lake and 1150 South Lake Street, second reading. And then Ordinance 1756, granting a variance for ATMI Precast.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
And Trustee Heinz.
Yay.
And that carries 6-0. Thank you. Moving on, items for separate action. We have item A, temporary liquor license request for the Fox Valley Park District, and I'll ask Jeff for a summary.
Certainly. This is very similar to requests they've made in the past for an event out at Stewart Sports Complex. I believe it was a run last time. This is a different event, but the reason we had to bring it to you is they are requesting a waiver of the $100 fee. So we are working with them on maybe working towards being able to have sort of an ongoing temporary license, and they would just have to give us notification of the events, but then we wouldn't have to bring it to you every time. So I have been working with Attorney Julian on that, and hopefully we'll bring something back to you later. But that'd answer any questions you have about this.
Hearing no questions, there is a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman. Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
And that carries 6-0. Thank you. Next item, ordinance 1759, adopting the operating and capital improvements budget for fiscal year 2018. This is the second reading. Does staff have anything additional to add?
We do not.
This is in the same format or same form that you saw at our last meeting. Any other questions from the board? Concerns? Motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Heinz.
Yay.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
And that carries 6-0. Thank you. A lot less fanfare than there really ought to be when you finally approve the budget that's been going on. The process has been going on for several months. So, moving on then. Item C, we have ordinance 1764, amending section 6-1.2 of the village code regarding the International Building Code local amendments. This is the first reading, so we won't take action on it tonight. With that, I will ask Director Young for a summary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, this is an item that we've been talking about for a while with the trustees regarding an amendment to our local amendments to the International Building Code. As you may know, we have adopted in the past the International Building Code, which is a base code, and then some local amendments. And several years ago, the village looked at local amendments that included adding elevators to all buildings. Frankly, it's not worded very well, but it says all buildings, which is a problem in itself. But it does not change anything that would be over 4 stories in height for an apartment situation. So what we've asked is that the board consider removing that portion of the code and going with the standard elevator portion of the International Building Code. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What is the standard portion?
The standard portion is anything 4 stories and above requires an elevator. It could fall into a situation where some office buildings, depending on the nature or the size, would require elevators regardless of the size. But this specifically would deal with the question that we have relating to apartments and apartment complexes that would be 3 stories or less.
So the builder could still opt to put in elevators, but we're not insisting on it.
That's correct.
And that meets ADA standards as well?
It does, because there would be accessible units on the first floor that would have the proper ramps. I might add that this is similar to all of our neighbors, including Oswego, Yorkville, and Aurora and Naperville. I've shared with you some information about some apartment developments that have taken place in Naperville, and they would fall under this code, meaning no elevators required.
All right. Any other questions?
We put that on consent next time?
That works. Any opposition? All right, we'll do that. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Moving on to item D, we'll take action separately, but can we talk about all 3 of these at the same time?
Yes.
So item D, E, and F are all site improvement bond reductions for FCL Builders, and then Nexio Solutions, Commerce Drive and Detention Basins, and American Crystal Sugar Company Development.
So, thank you. This relates to the 2 developments that have gone on Commerce Drive Extended. One, obviously, is the American Crystal Sugar Company Dome, and then the second one is Nexio Solutions. Both of these buildings are nearing completion. In fact, United Sugars is close to being issued a full CO. They are operational at this time. They're working out a few minor items on the building itself. Nexio is in a similar situation. What these bonds represent are funds for on-site improvements and landscaping, and in some cases, we have a public water main that runs through the American Crystal site. So it's standard procedure to look at bond reductions when you get to this point and retain 10% of what the original bond was in case there are site improvements that still have to be modified. In the case of American Crystal, we know that there's some additional landscaping that needs to be modified and added, but the 10% of the original bond would more than cover any of those improvements. So we're asking for reductions on all 3 of these bonds. The third one that I have not mentioned is the bond itself for the Commerce Drive extension. There's a 1-year warranty period that's required with a 10% bond that would be in place for about $23,000 on that one. So all 3 of these are similar in nature, and we would retain 10%. The builders, FCL Builders, intends to come forward and provide new bonds so that they can actually physically transfer the site that American Crystal is on, because that is a ownership swap situation or ownership transfer situation. The Nexio site is actually going to be retained by the Pritzker Group, and Nexio is actually just leasing that property. So they would provide new 10% bonds for all of these, and then these would physically be released.
Any questions for Rich? And are we taking action on these tonight, or is this?
Yes, these do not require a second reading, so this would be action on these items.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And that would be item D,
That would be item D.
okay, for Nexio. Go ahead.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
Trustee Bond?
Yes.
Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Heinz? And Trustee Youngerman?
Yes.
That carries 6-0.
Motion to approve item E for the Commerce Drive detention basins.
Second.
That's all right, no worries. It's your day.
It's your day. Teresa, come on.
I looked down.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
Trustee Bond?
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Heinz. And Trustee Mears. Or
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman, pardon me. I haven't had any wine yet.
Motion to approve item
Yes.
F, the American Crystal Sugar Company development.
Same.
It was Marisol.
I'm enjoying this, so I'm just going to let it go.
She just called me Marisek.
I'm sorry. I
She corrected herself.
1 second later, I corrected. Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Heinz. And Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Thank
For
you.
the record, Youngerman, you seconded that?
I have no idea. I'm still confused. I think so, yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on. Item G, we have a PSA with Rick Dandan,
And
a code consultant for supplementary building plan review and inspection services. Director Young.
thank you. So what this is for plan review and building inspections on an as-needed basis. This is if Mike and Matt were out of the office at the same time, and we needed to continue to move forward, obviously, with inspections primarily, but also cover some backup plan review if we had a number of plans in at one time, and Mike couldn't get to all of them in a timely fashion, then we would utilize Rick's services for plan review as well. We've had other agreements in the past. We still have one with another service. It doesn't hurt to have a second one in place just in case we need some help to keep the ball rolling. So we'd ask for your approval on this PSA at this time.
And the developer would generally reimburse us for the cost, or?
Most times the developer would reimburse us for the costs on plan review. Typically, the inspections are part of the permit to begin with, so,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Any questions for Rich on this?
In other words, your $100 residential garage, that's what they charge, and then
We would cover that as part of the building permit process. The plan review is really the extraordinary cost.
are we this busy, or is this just
It's
when
just-
two are gone, or?
It's just to be ready in case that we anticipate that we'll have more activity this year, and on the chance that Mike's gone and we need some help. If he's on vacation, we'd like to have this as a backup option.
Who is this guy? I've never heard of him.
This is a guy that Mike's worked with in the past that he knows through his association. I don't personally know him either, but Mike recommends him, and so I'm happy with going with that recommendation.
Local?
He's
Warrenville, it says?
Warrenville,
Okay.
so, Warrenville, yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve professional service agreement with Rick Dandan.
I'll second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Very good.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling. Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Heinz.
Yay.
And Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item H, we have the Spring Parkway tree purchase and planting. Director Hoppenstead.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Springtime Parkway tree purchase and planting always seems to be a little confusing, given the timing relative to the fiscal year, one ending and another beginning. We typically try to maximize the current fiscal year's monies to acquire trees, and then we begin to tap into the upcoming fiscal year's funds to perform contract planting that takes place after May 1st. At this time, we've secured 256 trees from 2 different nurseries that meet the necessary requirements for tree planting criteria. There are multiple vendors and a contractor involved in the work that's detailed in your packets. However, the only item requiring approval tonight is the purchase and delivery of 140 trees from Cedar Path Nursery at a cost of $23,164.40. So I'm looking for approval on that individual item. The others are more or less just for informational purposes included and detailed in your packet. If there's any questions, I'm happy to entertain those now.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And just to be clear, we're approving just Cedar Path Nursery, the 140 trees?
The other purchases are at a staff level. I mean,
Okay,
the
I get you.
information's in there for detail, but Correct, I only need approval on Cedar Path Nursery.
Perfect. Any other discussion?
I have a quick question. What caliper size?
They're all 2-inch.
Okay.
We're finding it harder and harder to get the mature trees. You know, given emerald ash borer seems to be the biggest, you know, every agency and a lot of private property owners have faced the need for tree replacement. And so the nursery stock is depleted. It's not something that they can just,
Are you finding that nurseries don't want to sell a 2-inch tree? They want to continue to leave it in the ground and let it grow and get a little bit bigger?
personally, I don't know that I can answer that question. I can refer that to our arborist who works on this firsthand.
We run into the same thing. Nurseries want to keep their trees in the ground because they want to get a higher resale value for them as they turn into 2.5 and 3 and 4 inch caliper trees. So you're running into the same thing we are. And tree pricing keeps going up.
Where's Cedar Path at?
Again, that's not something that I'm terribly involved in. I think it's down south a little ways. I'm not 100% certain, to be honest, Denny.
It's not that far. It's the same hardiness zone. We purchase from them all the time.
Yeah, by down south, I meant like
Yeah.
within 50-mile radius.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Bond?
Yes.
Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Heinz?
Yay.
Trustee Youngman?
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
That carries 6-0. Thank you. We do not have any items for discussion. Anything new or unfinished?
I have an item.
Nothing, thank you.
In my discussions with a resident this week, continues my discussion that I had last time. Was talking to a resident on Briarcliff, and she is concerned about speed on Briarcliff. And also, there's a crosswalk near her house. And in my discussions with her, we saw vehicles that were obeying the speed limit, and we saw vehicles that were quite clearly going well above the speed limit. There have been numerous accidents in her yard, and she's got a crosswalk that is right near there. And the crosswalk is only distinguished by 2 lines. And it's got a sign, but as you're coming through there, it kind of goes with what I said last time. It's hard to distinguish and determine where the crosswalks were. And I think expanding the crosswalks and making them a little bit more visible is only in our best interests and the best interests of resident safety. That's it.
What was the intersection again?
I can't remember the intersection, but it's in my notes at my house.
Yeah,
Can
give me
you-
the address. Can you shoot me the address?
Sure.
Thanks.
Can you expand on the pavement striping that we do have currently for our crosswalks, if they're marked generally? It's just 2 lines going across?
Correct. They're about 6-inch width, white line, curb to curb on either side of the crosswalk.
And that meets some standard? Correct.
It's the basic. I think you can make them more visible by having some hashing. You know, we pay per linear foot of that 6-inch width paint. So, you know, we'd be talking about additional costs, but certainly if that's what we choose to do, we can do it.
The only thing that I worry about is expanding the striping, because we would do it village-wide, let's say, and do drastic striping, let's say, is a false sense of security while inside the striped area, so you feel safer than you really are, because you are still standing in the middle of a road. So the signs help, but
Maybe if like Briarcliff is a main arterial, Mayfield Drive is a main arterial type of thing, Lakewood Creek is a main arterial, Concord is a main arterial as far as to get into the smaller, or the slower residential areas. Maybe if we looked at something like that.
I would just like to add to the, on Briarcliff, when we had the road redone, we actually had crosswalks added. We didn't have that many on Briarcliff. So some of those are new. But the speeding's always been there.
You think people just may not be familiar with that the crosswalks are there because they're new?
I think people are just in a hurry and don't pay attention.
I agree.
I think that's the bigger issue. Okay.
That's
Well, the
it.
chief will look at that.
I'll get you
specific-
the
Yes, sir.
address because I wrote it down.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah. I'll hold all comments until after the meeting. I went to Fuller's Car Wash today, and they're now open. They gave 500 free rides away, or free washes. So I've never used one of them. You put the money in, they give you a whole bunch of dollar bills and fives instead of change for a 20. So I went to the front gate. They've got two guys there that don't do anything except one. Tell you turn your car off. I turned it off. I hooked it up, put it in neutral, and just as I started out, the guy taps on my window and goes, "Your back window's up." So I look around, and I didn't see my back window up, but I've got tinted windows. So he thought it was down 1/4 inch. He said, "Just a little bit." So I hit the buttons on my car to get the back window up, and I got the windows that go straight down. Both windows, and somehow that one went up, but this window went down, and got this money in my hand trying to figure. I hit the button when actually it stopped at like 3/4 of the way down. Then it started back up. Meanwhile, I hit that one down. The brushes were like this close to my face. I just got by the time I got the windows up, I was done with everything except the wind air. My whole inside of my car was full of soap suds, and I looked in the mirror and I had soap suds on my head. And I go, I can't believe this happened. If that guy wouldn't have said anything, I'd have been fine. But that window went down, and this window, and by that time it was rinsed, so I was getting water sprayed in me from my passenger side, and it was just. But I got my car nice and clean. The vacuum works great. In fact, the vacuum, I used it as to get the water out of my car, and it sucked it right up real well. So
And you don't need to take a shower.
no, not at all. My pants were so wet that the only thing that was dry was the seat I was sitting on, because everything else was just inch of water and everything. So I'm just saying, though, that they are open, and I got my car really nice and clean, and until I got home and a bird crapped in my back window, and that was what I gave him a car wash for. So it was just a bad afternoon.
Can I just ask, is there by chance, I know Chief, you were over there this afternoon, could you check and see if by chance they have video? Because I'm pretty sure I can take up a collection and we can get copy costs.
That would have went really viral. I mean, it was.
All right. That was good. Thank you for visiting Fuller's.
Yeah.
But you do smell like a new car now.
And the left side of his face is really shiny. Apparently he got the wax too.
The steering wheel, everything had soap all over it, and that brush we just kept throwing it.
Doesn't have-
And I
doesn't
couldn't
have to
find the
shave.
up and down, and it was just.
Oh,
If you guys write one story about tonight's meeting. That's the one. Anything else, Stan?
I wanted to mention for want of a better phrase, water quality town hall tomorrow evening at the police station community service room. The appropriate personnel will be there to discuss our water system, our water treatment, and open discussion from the public. We invite everyone to come.
Awesome.
So Shar, you're invited.
All right, hearing nothing else, we have Plan Commission meeting Thursday, April 6th. Village Board meeting, our next one will be Monday, April 10th at 7 p.m. We do not have executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Yay.
Trustee Heinz. Thank you.
Now,
Yay.
Trustee Youngerman.
The wheels were just falling off this meeting. Yay.
Trustee Mearson.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Tempted to vote no, we're having a good time here, but I'll say yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
And Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.
They don't have fun like this in Oswego, I'll tell you that. When was the last time they laughed like that in a Oswego meeting? Never.
Yes.